Well, welcome back to The Real Story. This just is like a bad rash. It just keeps coming back. Headlines: millions of young and not so young adults still live at home. Shock survey shows 85% of parents thrilled to have adult kids move back home. Bank of mom and dad paying out $1,474 a month on average to adult kids. Wow. Adulthood is starting later.
You live with your parents?
Is that a problem?
A 2024 study says that adulthood starts at 27 years old. Checkout time when I was growing up was at 18. That's when they break your plate and change the locks on the doors. You moved out at 18. Now it's 27. A 2025 survey said that 25% don't know how to change a light bulb. Come on.
Al, can you replace that light bulb in the kitchen?
What does it look like I'm doing?
You're an adult and 25%, 1 in 4, don't know how to change a light bulb? You hold on and start turning to your left. Oh, come on. That's just ridiculous. And look, here are some facts that you just need to think about. 33% of 18 to 34-year-olds are living with at least one parent. And a Harris poll, and this is 2 years old, so you know it's getting worse. A 2023 Harris poll said that 45% of 18 to 29-year-olds are with their parents. That's almost 1 in 2. That's an 80-year high. And 58% of those have always lived at home. Always. They never moved out. And as I said earlier in one of the headlines, 85% of the parents were delighted if their kids moved back home. Why are they doing this? Their parents are financially assisting their adult kids. Now, what are the excuses that these adults, I call them adults because chronologically they would be adults, but functionally they're not adults. The number one excuse is inflation. They can't afford to live on their own. They can't afford to get out, get an apartment, get transportation, get themselves dressed, get to a job. J-O-B, job. That's where you get up and you go somewhere and you perform a function that somebody's willing to pay you for. So we'll get back to that in a minute because that seems to be a nasty concept. The average living wage for these people that give inflation as an excuse, the average living wage, what you have to make to be able to live independently for one person right now is $45,000 a year nationwide. Now, of course, it's higher in some cities like New York and LA, but nationally it's $45,000 a year. Now, average for people 20 to 24, they're making $40,456 a year. So that's less than the living wage. If you're 25 to 34, they're making $57,500 a year. Okay, so you say, well, there you are, Dr. Phil, so they're not making enough to live on their own. Well, get a roommate.
Do you really think this is fair?
Oh, I do not. I was promised a private suite. But thanks for asking.
You don't have to have your own place. Get a roommate, and the roommate doesn't have to be your mother. Excuse 2 is unmanageable housing, rent prices. But like I said, get a roommate. The average 2-bedroom costs $1,836 a month. Okay, that's $918 a month if you split it in half, so only $11,000 a year. Get a roommate that isn't your parents. Excuse number 3, it gives the ability to save for home ownership. That's a myth. Do you think these adults living at home are saving their money to buy a house? They're not. Statistics show that it actually lowers the chance of becoming homeowners within a decade. They're not saving their money because, let me tell you why. They get lazy. They sit at home, they don't pay their own bills, so they take all their money and they use it going to concerts or taking trips or buying the clothes that they want. They're not even helping their parents pay their bills. Excuse number 4, it's a generation battling anxiety at a historic rate, and that is true. Well, I wonder why.
The world is a very dangerous place, Luca.
Let's take a look at the effect of overprotective parents. Overprotective parents have adult children that have a higher risk of anxiety and depression. They have low independence. They have low self-confidence. They experience separation anxiety. You know, that's something that we see with children that are 2 years old. It's the terrible twos. They experience separation anxiety. They have a decreased sense of competence, dependency on their parents. Now let's talk about why that is. Do you know how you form your self-image? You know how you form your self-esteem? The same way you form opinions of other people. Think of somebody in your life that you know. Maybe somebody you work with. I'm speaking now to those of you who bother to work. That would be the parents that are paying for your kids. Think of somebody at your work or your office that you have an opinion of. Maybe somebody that every time you get to the office, they're already there. They've unlocked the place, they've turned on the lights, they've put the coffee on, they've started the music playing if you have music at the office. They're just there every day. You can set your clock by them. How do you know that? Because you've observed them across time and you know that they're reliable, they're dependable. And so based on your observations of them, you attribute those characteristics to them. Well, guess what? That's how you form your opinion of yourself. You watch what you do out in the world. You watch yourself overcome obstacles. You watch yourself get knocked down, get up, dust yourself off.
I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down.
And continue on. And so you say to yourself, hey, I got knocked down.
This kind of people's down he goes!
Didn't kill me. I got up, dusted myself, and went on. So you attribute to yourself the trait or characteristic of having the ability to face adversity and overcome it. If you're facing a hard task, a challenge, and you stay hooked up to it, then you say, wow, I have stick-to-itiveness. I've seen myself not give up. And so you hang in there and you go along with it. I have a really good friend that's a comedian, Ron White. You guys may have seen him. He was in the Blue Collar Comedy Tour. He used to joke that his dad said, that boy's got a lot of quit in him. He was joking, of course. But you watch people, and based on whether they quit or they don't quit, whether they stay hooked up, you make attributions. And that's how you learn about yourself. If somebody breaks up with you and it breaks your heart, but you bounce back and you learn to love again, you say, hey, you know, I'm emotionally resilient. I can handle things. You attribute that to yourself. But you know what? If you do everything for your kids, if you smooth out all the bumps, if you never let them fall and scrape their knee, if you never let them get out there and get knocked down and have a chance to get up and dust themselves off, they never have a chance to attribute to themselves the attribute of having the ability to overcome adversity. You never let them learn that about themselves. So they do have compromised self-esteem. They do have an inability to learn that they're tough, that they're resilient, that they have bounce-back ability. You cheat them out of that. If you let them live at home, they don't observe themselves overcoming the obstacles in life. They're dependent on you, so they've never learned that they can do that. You cheat them out of that. And that's called enabling. And you know why you enable? You think you're enabling so you're helping them be comfortable, but that's really not why you do it. You do it so you don't have anxiety. You do it because you don't worry about them being out on their own. You do it to make yourself feel better, and you do it at their expense. And then we have to dial in the effect of social media. And there's FOMO, F-O-M-O, fear of missing out. It creates anxiety and depression because these kids, now young adults, are comparing themselves to everyone else. And they go, wow, I'm missing out. I'm not participating in all these things others are doing. They're not doing it either. Most of that's fake. It's phony. It's staged. We're seeing increases in ADHD, OCD, BPD, which is borderline personality disorder, problems with literacy and social interactions because they're living on a 2-inch screen on their phone looking at that. Nothing great ever happens on a 2-inch screen. So it's just delaying adulthood. They're living here instead of getting out there and attributing things to themselves. They lack essential life skills. They don't know how to do financial management. They don't know problem solving because they don't do it. Their dependency allows them to erode any confidence they have and not develop self-sufficiency. Now, if you are a young adult, you're cheating yourself. The bigger worry is how this is going to affect our society in the future. How competitive are we going to be when we have a generation that's being isolated from failure? I've talked about the 10 working principles for a healthy society, and one of those is don't reward bad behavior or support conduct you don't value. When you're allowing children to stay home and be children when they're chronologically adult, you're rewarding bad behavior. They should be out learning. They should be out overcoming. They should observe themselves conquering the world. Another one of my principles on the list is we have to actively live in support of meritocracy. We need to reward talent, skill, contribution. A meritocracy. That's not happening when kids are at home. Adults are at home living like children. Another principle is you need to identify and build consequential knowledge. That means they need to develop a skill that pays off, something the world is willing to pay them for. What's their consequential knowledge? What skill do they have that they can sell to the world? That's so important. That's so important. They think they're safe and free from harm or risk. Not really. They want to be secure from threat or danger, harm or loss. Not really. They're just hiding. Those aren't the things that are really going on. These young adults need to get out into the world. It isn't punishing them. You think, why would I be mean to my child? I've raised this child. I love them. I care about them. I want to nurture them. You're not nurturing them. You're cheating them. And here's the big question that you should be asking yourself, and every adult living with their parent should ask themselves. What would I do if I didn't have a parent? What would I do if mommy or daddy weren't here for me to come and live with? What would I do? And if the answer is, I don't know, I would be at a loss. You better start coming up with a different answer while you have a chance to phase into it instead of going cold turkey. Start answering that question now, because that's coming. It's just a matter of when. Start figuring that out while you can phase into it instead of finding yourself out on the curb alone all at once. Because mommy and daddy, they're not going to be here forever. That's the real story. Wherever you're getting the real story, make sure you subscribe and follow. I'll see you tomorrow. When my sleep was off, it felt like I couldn't show up as my best self. That's why I'm so excited to share something that makes a real difference. Beam's Dream Powder. Beam is proudly founded in America and run by people who share our values, hard work and integrity, and delivering results. It's a science-backed, healthy nighttime blend packed with ingredients shown to improve sleep, so you can wake up refreshed and ready to take on the day. Dream is made with a powerful blend of all natural ingredients, reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin. Beam has already improved over 17.5 million nights of sleep, helping people across the country wake up and feel their best. Here's the deal. Beam is giving my listeners the ultimate Patriot discount of 40% off. Try their best-selling Dream Powder and get up to 40% off for a limited time. Go to shopbeam.com/Dr. Phil and use code Dr. Phil at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/Dr. Phil and use code Dr. Phil for up to 40% off. Support an American company, invest in yourself, and start getting your best sleep tonight.